Cool. So let me share my screen. I've got a couple of slides just to explain the process. Um, Slideshow. Great. So welcome to Volunteer Showcase. It's been an amazing project. What I really loved this time is the chatting in the Slack. I really enjoyed, watching, listening, looking at the volunteers' questions, and then you, Damien, and Simon jumping in and collaborating and bouncing ideas. So I think the discussion was very rich. So I hope we made a difference. So Simon is not here today. Damien, you're the only one here. Simon is away.
Yeah, Simon's currently in the field with 100 children somewhere.
Oh wow, that sounds exciting.
He does
Uh,
that like camping thing.
so welcome, Damien, from Noise Solution. So today we've got three presentations. I've got a slide just to give you the names after. So the idea is you would spend 15 minutes roughly to showcase your data story, explain the insight, maybe your thinking as well. And Damien, if you want to give feedback at the end of every presentation or towards the complete, then you wait for the free presentation. It's up to you to tell us if you want to give feedback. And also if you have feedback about the general experience. You've done that before last 2 years ago with this for Social Good, but maybe
Yeah.
general feedback as well would be good. And we might have QAs, and then I guess what's next after that. So I've got a screenshot there of the dashboard showcasing we had 25 submissions this time. Um, it's quite amazing. We had a broad range of skills or design techniques or analysis, a lot of different tools used as well. It's always cool to see like people using different technologies, traditional BI tools like Tableau Prep, Power BI, but also AI. Um, so there's a link there. I can put the link in the chat after if you want to browse. There's all the submissions there with the thumbnails, 25 of them. And I thought it was pretty cool to see a lot of students as well from the university that Prof. Kevin, I think, sent over. I think it's good to see students practicing in the real project as well. So today, I'm not sure. I can't see the chat. So I don't know if Elena is online, but we've got Steph and Jessica both from Canada. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I might just send a note to. Oh, Elena, you're online. I can see you online.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Hey,
here.
Elena, how are you? We're just starting up. So I don't have any order. So whoever wants to start first, I don't know if Jessica, you want to do it now and then go to bed, come back to it. But we're very flexible. So whoever wants to start first, there's no rule for that. Who wants to start first presenting their data stories?
I
Jessica, you
can
go.
go. Yeah. Okay. Sharing my screen. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you everyone for the opportunity to present my project today. And yeah, this dashboard, I created it kind of as an experimental impact storytelling prototype for Noise Solution. And yeah, my goal was not to just simplify the to report the outcomes, but to explore how data visualization could better reflect the young people's journeys and voices and the emotional change over time. Um, so yeah, let's just go over a little bit over the dashboard. It's my first dashboard I built with D3 and React and TypeScript. That was also a good opportunity for me to um, explore this. Um, yeah, after the introduction section, I start with an overview about just a couple of KPIs to show what changed. It's like a high level overview of the data set and the broad dimensional patterns that are emerging from the programs. So I have like a couple of 4 KPI cards at the top, like the number of young people that participated over the data set or over the time range, the how many sessions we have captured, the average overall session rating, and also I just incorporated the total number of AI readings that were used in this time period. And afterwards I start already including some of the quotes from the participants. So the original concepts were competence, autonomy, and relatedness. I just represent them here as confidence, feeling control, and feeling connected over this dashboard. And we can basically combine here the metric, but also a quote. And I think metric and a quote together is that combination that is really that makes us really understand both directions. And then I'm gonna start over with some charts. I have here, I would say this is one of the main charts here, the development over time. So this is like the program journey chart, sorry. And it's like a multi-line chart, and then it shows the 3 core areas across the participant session numbers. So we have a score from 0 to 9, and then the participant session numbers from 1 to 24 here. And each line represents basically the average over the session numbers. And we can see here already it's like not like a linear path, or it's like in kind of an up and down, and this shows like the participants' journey is like complex over time. Let's move on to the next one. It's like again combining, looking into a bit deeper into this about the journeys. So here we see like a couple of participants especially. So we look here into basically for each participant, we look over the first session until the last session and see whether there was an increase from the first to the last session, or a decrease, or roughly steady. So I'm looking here at the combined score. So I'm calculating the mean of the competence, connectedness, and confidence. I create like a mean score and use this to compare the first and the last session. And we see there's 11 participants where the mean of the first session towards the mean of the last session has increased. 2 were broadly steady, and 19 of rough like decreased. But it's like, again, showing that's really complex, and I don't want to basically fix a journey based on one number. It's like the whole dashboard is like showing those variations across them. And then we have a section just mostly referring to the quotes, what the young people actually said. And this quote come from the qualitative fields that were provided. And we can here like filter between basically the columns that were given, feeling the positive columns and the more negative columns, and then showing like different voices. So this is not just one participant, or it could be like multiple participants. I always show like 9 cards if possible, and we can also show different voices for these categories. And if available, I also connect the quote with the related score that was given. So again, to have this pairing, and not just the number, but also the number and the quote together here. And Yeah, and then there's like this section, Sound of Impact. It was a bit more experimental, and it was very fun to work on. So basically, I wanted to work with an alternative visual language to impact the reporting and just try to use like the represent the emotional change as like rhythm and movement just to be more in line with the Noise Solution brand overall. So we have the first search is like, yeah, it's like I see it like as a waveform. So basically what we show here is again the three categories: confidence, control, and connectedness, and the average score across each session. So the x-axis are the sessions, and then we have the average scores. I just stacked them on top of each other. And so yeah, the line here is the accurate data, and just the how to say, the waveform behind is more like decorative, just to make it look like more like a wave. Exactly. And then we have the impact equalizer, which is again, yeah, coming from the audio equalizer inspired by, and it shows again overall through the whole period the average scores for confidence, control, and connectedness, and then it was rounded up to define how high the bar is for from the equalizer. And yeah, confidence was always the strongest one, or the one that was reported most positively. And yeah, so this is the equalizer. And then I have another chart showing each voice, so each participant, each session in a scatter chart. So we have like, again, I always consider like on the x-axis the session number. And yeah, on the y-axis we have the scores, and then each dot is a voice. Oops, sorry. Now I got up. Yeah, each dot is like, damn it. Each dot is a voice. We can also, through the charts, we can always hover over it and say, for instance, this dot here is participant 3505 from session 4. And it shows the score that is displayed here is again the combined score and taking the mean of all three values. And the color in this case represents which of the three areas has the strongest score. So for instance, in this case, um, it's always gone down. I'm sorry, I'm messing here today. Ah, God, the of the United States. So in this case, for instance, the combined score, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm moving too much. The base, so the combined score here is 8 out of 9. Here in this case, this is the combined score is plotted on the y-axis, and the color is white, meaning that among the three scores, the three categories, that the connectedness has the strongest, the highest score. So this I'm combining like these two measures in this chart here. And we can see also over time, there are less dots, less participants are going through a higher number of sessions. That's why. Yeah, and then we have this participant mixtape here. It's again selecting 8 participants in this case, showing like for each participant the journey from the first session throughout the last session. And I'm picking here again the 3 categories, like when there's an increase from the first to the last sessions. These are I call it rising tracks. So for instance, this participant had an average score of 4.3 in the first session and an average score of 5.3 in the last session, though there was I call it an increase, a rising track. And then do the same for a more like, let's say, a steady track where there's the change not in the number, not so much different. And then the last one is like there are 2 examples for, I call it complex tracks, where the scores may have, from the first to the last session, there might be a decrease. So it's kind of a more complex journey. Also, we can see here it's like a more an up and down in the track. So this is a complex one for this particular participant. And yeah, last chart in this experimental section is like 3 orbital charts, and these are basically showing the distributions. So I have each score I rounded basically to the whole number. So it's a distribution from the buckets 1 to 9, and it shows how many sessions have that score. So for instance, a score of 1, it's like 4 sessions for feeling confident. A score of 6, that's the highest one, has like 94 sessions. So it's like another way to show a histogram, basically, just to make it more nicely for this theme represented. And yeah, lastly, I just tried to look into some patterns, looking also into the other categories like the referral sector and the gender. So starting with the gender, oops, on the left, yeah, again, we are showing, so for each sector, we have how many total sessions we have from the participants, and then showing the average score. So we can see maybe it helps, yeah, making some organizational shifts or for some learning rather than benchmarking. It's like, yeah, to maybe to explore where the journals differ across sections, and this is where this could help. And similar for the participants by sessions by gender. So for each of the gender field, it shows the number of sessions. So the unknown one where participants did not specify it, we have the most sessions. And then also the average journey to see if there are some trends around different groupings of those kinds. Yeah, and then just lastly is like a little explanation about the dashboard and the scores. That's yeah, not gonna go too much into detail about it. But yeah, that's the dashboard. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jessica. I wonder, did you have to do a lot of data prep to be able to design that, like based on the data that Damien provided?
Or just basically the data that was provided, it was like I aggregated it on a session level. So it was like I think mostly 5 AI sessions. So I aggregated them, taking the average. So this was basically my data set that I used. And then I used like for this dashboard, D3 and React to do the calculations based on this session level aggregation. I recently took a course in D3 and React, so I used that knowledge a little bit, but also I used a bit of AI to speed things up a little bit. But it was very fun.
That's very good. I like the music theme as well. So
Yeah, that was cool.
any question before Damien maybe give some feedback or ask questions? Do you have any question from the group? Any questions for Jessica? Damien, you want to jump in and maybe provide feedback, or what did you like it? What did you select,
Yeah,
Jessica?
cool. So there were 2 or 3 things that stood out really. So firstly, it looks great, right? It's clean, it's tidy,
Mm.
it's easy to read, it's on brand, like it just looks great. But I think more importantly for me, there were 2 things that stood out from this one. So firstly was your complete focus on keeping the human at the heart of everything, right? And the fact that we're continually showing qualitative and quantitative data alongside each other, right? We cannot and we should not reduce the young people that we work to numbers, right? What we're trying to do here is tell all of their stories at scale, and that came out through this whole dashboard. And I think secondly, the kind of really interesting and quite nuanced point was how careful you were about the language that you used. So it's really easy to say like this person had a negative trajectory, right? But it's just not the case, right? You're exactly right that this young person is having a really complex time. And that kind of how we talk about things came out through this dashboard and was appreciated by me on behalf of the young people that Noise Solution are supporting. So yeah, like looked great, kept the human at the center, and was really careful and deliberate about how we presented and positioned those data back to the viewer. Excellent work.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Happy, yeah,
Awesome.
to make any adjustments. Yeah, that's also just a prototype, but yeah, I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
I'm glad you woke up.
Oh my, delighted.
I'd be interested to understand what's involved plugging the real data from Salesforce to the app. I don't know if that's something maybe for the next stage, but because it's almost ready to go, isn't it? I mean, like it could be used
Yeah,
tomorrow if the data was kind of
yeah.
live.
So yeah, I'll come to what we're doing next
Yeah,
later on. Yeah.
well done. Any question from the group before we move on to maybe Steph or Elena? No questions? Well done, Jessica. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
Who wants to go next? Steph or Elena?
Sure.
Steph.
I don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Second time in a row, Steph.
I won't let it go to my head. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, good. So yeah, I've got it's more of, in this particular project, I was sort of more focused on the quality of the data that would be the foundation. It's mostly a prototype. My general sort of take is the data it's okay, but it's not something solid enough that we can make a lot of inferences on top of at this point. And I'll just kind of explain why that is as we go here. But certainly when we get a better quality signal coming out of the data, and it wouldn't take much, then all the same stuff you see in this this website, this page, would just look better. It would look more sort of convincing and be something that you could bank on. But the visualizations themselves wouldn't necessarily change. But just keep in mind that this is a prototype. And it is just a single scrolling page I've got deployed out to GitHub Pages. It's maybe not what you want to present on an actual website to a funder or anybody interested in looking at it, but it's just there for an idea of the art of the possible at this point. So the caveat in general is that there was some sort of, and again, I don't have any direct evidence this is true. I mean, Damien, you and I went back and forth a little bit about this, but I think there had been some sort of rubric change in the AI engine that was scoring the VPN scores somewhere around December, January timeframe, right, kind of in the middle. And you can see this very prominent drop in the average score calculations as it crosses that boundary. Generally when you see something like that, when all the scores kind of drop all at the same time, it's an indication of some sort of rule change or rubric change or whatever. It's not that the participants all of a sudden became different somehow. So something definitely is going on under the covers here. And it just means that if you're doing any sort of analysis that goes across the whole timeline, it's not reliable because we know that something changed midway through and it's going to basically confound what your result that you're looking at. If you're, on the other hand, looking at just a piece of analysis on either side of the line, then you're good because the score change wouldn't be a factor there. There could be another explanation. That's why I'm sort of saying that inferences are not possible at this point. Guessing that it's a rubric change, it could be something else that I wasn't able to sort of determine from the data. So that's just why this is a general caveat. I started with a distribution of the scores. So each dot you see in this plot is an individual session. Those are median lines that kind of run from top to bottom. I think the three sets of scores are roughly correlated, as you may or may not expect. I think we see a lot more variability in the relatedness space because relatedness is a bit of a harder concept to articulate and pin down sometimes. Whereas, sense of competence, yes, I feel like I'm better at doing this. I felt like I've done a good job. And autonomy, I was able to do it myself. Those are kind of easier concepts to get across. Relatedness is a bit more subjective, I think, but also just a bit harder to define. But nevertheless, we can see that we kind of get the distribution we expect, I think. I don't know what we can infer, if anything, from those distributions other than that's what they are. The next section is here we basically have a subset that we pulled out of cards that relate the comment to the score. These are individual sessions, so I've pulled out 9 of them here just to be the representative set. And then we can see in the first session, a fireman has come in and overheard the session and was telling the participant that he was very impressed. And, that speaks to confidence to a high degree in this particular card. We've got, we're able to sort of see the effects of, how the comment is tracking with the BPN scores, and it gives us some sense of confidence that fundamentally the AI engine is actually doing the right sort of translation. So it's comforting to sort of see that that's coming across in these scores, and I haven't seen any real inconsistencies that would point to the AI engine not doing its job. So that's helpful. Pulled out some of the examples here of 3 of where things didn't go so well in a session. So this just gives you an idea of, what a negative-ish comment might look like when you compare that to the scores. Lots more of these in the data. These are just the representative set that I pulled across. And here we have a plot that tells us kind of the trend. What was the average score the student or participant gave the first session versus kind of all the rest averaged together. Here, it looks worse than it is. Again, this is because this is another example of one of those plots that looks across the entire timeline. So that's why you're seeing these sort of overwhelming downward trends. If we corrected for that, you would not see this. You would probably see this, and I've got other charts that I played around with that kind of shows everything sort of neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It sort of over time, from the first session to the last, it kind of ends up in the same place. There might be a little bit of initial exuberance on the first session, but generally these trends don't look nearly as sort of downward trending as they would if we could correct for that. I didn't correct for any of that. I basically said this is what the data says, and we're not going to pretend otherwise. When you make corrections, you're making assumptions that may not be true, so I just kind of left it alone. Here is just kind of a plot that shows the hypothesis here was that people's scores or experiences, average scores in this case, may improve or may decline over time. There's no way to sort of see that here. You kind of sort of see that there's not really a correlation that we can bank on. There might be something slightly positive, but it's not something that we could claim. Again, I don't know what this looks like. With the correction factor, you might see a little bit of a trend up, but I don't know that for sure. This is just kind of a breakdown into the different bands. So we've got band by age, we've got band by sector. I couldn't do the other ones. We don't have enough data points for things like gender. Gender, a lot of those values are just kind of null. But here again, we see the same sort of downward trend that we sort of already talked about. The explainer there, as far as we know, was the rubric change. Again, these would be fairly flat looking if we corrected for them the way we think we had to. I don't know that there's any real surprises in this breakdown. I would say that it's hard because we're only dealing with 35 participants, so it's not really enough data points to draw a lot of solid conclusions from in the first place. So there are a couple of those things that are going on, and one we already talked about, the rubric change. It would be better if we had more students to look at here. And also, you almost want, at least in this case, maybe 2 years of data to sort of make these trends more useful. Here we have, of course, a snapshot in time. So a lot of the participants haven't even been in the program all that long. But yeah, 2 years would be kind of a minimum, I think, that we would want to work with here going forward. The last set of cards is just each participant's journey over their sessions. So PO3 is a designation as the identifier for the actual person. And then this sort of tells you how things have gone over the length of sessions they've had. So this is the first time we kind of see plots that talk about the effects of sessions over time. Nothing really unusual here. Same sort of downward general trends, but as we go further down in the cards, it's ordered by number of sessions, so we see the variation coming out of the trend lines as we get to the bottom. And that's it. There's some methodology stuff down here at the bottom that kind of explains everything we just talked about, all the caveats, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so that's where I kind of left it. I would love to see how this all shakes out in a year from now when more data is collected. I think the result would be much better to sort of look at, and I think you could actually get some decent inferences out of it. I kind of feel like the general trend is, I feel like you would expect to see that the general trend is improvement over time among students for the most part, but it's just not knowable at this point. Yeah, so that's all I got.
Thanks, Steph. I really like the layout, like newspapers, magazine. I think it looks very
Yeah.
nice and pretty and clean. Nice presentation. I really love your analysis, your very deep thinking analysis on data. I think that's really amazing.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's super important just to make sure that we understand the foundation before we run
Yeah.
off and try to make any inferences. Yeah.
And Damien, you might cover that maybe last, but I'm interested also to understand what you've learned from the whole process. Maybe you can keep that question for last, but
Yeah. Let's hold that question for summary. So whilst Jessica's dashboard was very kind of public facing, right? When Noise Solution is measuring impact, we're doing it for two reasons. So we are trying to tell those stories in ways that people can understand and trust publicly. And Jessica's dashboard does that really well. What we're also trying to do internally is hold ourselves to account and try and understand where we are and are not being impactful. And I think that's what this dashboard does, right? So this is really, really useful for us as an organization to scrutinize what we're doing, to scrutinize the methodologies that we're using, and to provide us with indicators as to whether or not we're on the right track. So I really enjoyed this one for the dashboard, but also for the kind of, as you described, Frederick, the deep thinking, the critical analysis into the data, and that kind of critical thinking and really careful consideration and methodology was incredibly useful. I think we were aware that the data set that was provided had changed and was partial, and it's very much an emerging piece of work. And what we were trying to do and are trying to do through this project is put those foundations in place, as you described, Steph, so that we can start to measure this stuff over time and validate a lot of our hypotheses. I think it's unsurprising that the scores basically flatline. We're working with young people in environments that are deliberately designed to support those three needs, right? And we're coming to the realization as an organization that we need to triangulate these data with other data from other people to try and get a much more rounded picture. So some of the patterns and trends that are coming out at this very early stage are unsurprising, but are kind of useful for us to know so we can go and try and identify those data gaps in other places. So yeah, in summary, the the whole kind of critical analysis discussion leading up to the production of a dashboard and the dashboard itself, incredibly useful for us as an organization.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of diagnostics that I ran that didn't make it into this report. But it's probably worth mentioning. The good news is the Transceive engine seems to be doing a pretty good job. I hope that you find that comforting. I wasn't sure at first, because AI is always a bit of a crapshoot if it's not done properly. So, but yeah, in general, the AI seems to be categorizing and classifying the sentiment properly, which is helpful. I think a lot of the sentiments are a bit short, which the AI struggles with, but it's generally working well. And if the rubric remains stable, we're okay. The other thing that I was able to pull out was you probably don't lose any sort of materiality if you were to run 3 sessions through Transceive instead of 5. You don't lose enough to be material, and you would save 40% on your processing costs for the AI build, but I don't know how that works over there. I don't even know how much it costs today. It just doesn't seem to add a lot more, at least in this data set. It doesn't add a lot more information when you run 5 versus 3. But other than that, yeah, I think there's still like a lot of foundational analysis that you could do. Just, it would be more interesting to apply it to a different data set.
Yeah.
Cool. And thanks again, Steph, also for
Yeah.
challenging and doing the chatter as well in Slack, participating early and then
Yeah, it's a
contributing
lot
to
of
that
fun.
project.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's really nice. And obviously, Damien jumping in, asking questions and answering questions. That's pretty cool. Elena, your turn.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So it's my pleasure and honor to be here, and well, great dashboards already presented. So before I dive into mine, I would like actually to make a small presentation. Oh, but I'm not sure it's visible.
We can see your screen. So
You see the presentation, right?
Yeah,
Well, we also see your notes.
the notes.
So
It's like
No?
yeah, the PowerPoint with the
if
notes
your
on the right hand
presenter
side.
view,
Yeah.
Let me try again. Okay. Now.
Yeah.
Now it's better. Now we see the only presentation.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Sorry for the lapses. Okay, so before I would like to start with what I was actually asking myself before starting. So, and what was my main goal? So, I wanted to represent in this dashboard mostly how young people feel and not how they score. And also there was quite a long discussion, yes, about these spikes in data and scores. So I wanted to highlight voices over the scores. So I also wanted to make the dashboard understandable and easy for non-data audiences, to make it feel human, because I think if it's also shared with maybe even future people who may still think about joining the noise solution, so it can be also useful to make it more human, and be also very transparent and show not only the success but also the moments of doubt, of fragility. So be very honest. And I think it's also very important to show these moments of doubt for young people, because in social media they used to see only success stories. So I think it's really important to show everything. Okay. So just a couple of notes about how I worked with data sets. So I joined them all three in one, well, mostly based on session ID and participant. What happened? So with the scores, well, as was advised, I used the average. But then, so what we were doing with the texts. So I took the decision to use out of these 5 iteration the one which would have the longest summary text. So because in some iterations we were absent parts, so this was the approach, because we needed to remove the duplicates. So that was the core idea, so to preserve as maximum text extracts as possible. And then also, I have been verifying the numbers because, yes, as I previously commented in Slack. So after a great Steph presentation, actually, it inspired me a lot, and I experimented quite with Gemini and with Claude. But also I have been checking the numbers because it's very good in brainstorming and in creating prototypes. But then we need really to know what we are doing and if the numbers are correct. So I have been checking it, made some correction, and also like spot checking for even for the extracts if everything was correct. Okay, next is I skipped. Okay, this one is about some choices I've made. They are very tiny, maybe things, but they makes difference. So instead of using just the numbers, there was rewarding, and I used participant, and it feels a bit more human. Then one of the central charts, it's a strip chart, which is not using any dates, any session numbers, and it's a representation of all the voices, positive and negative, as it was labeled in the data. But you will see also I changed this naming. Okay, and yes, again, so I wanted to avoid these issues with the data, because yes, we did observe, that the data was like decreasing after December. So as we are not sure what happened there exactly, I didn't want to put an accent on this and to wrongly lead the stakeholders to conclude that with more session, actually the scores are going lower, right? So then I used a musical metaphor also to step out a bit of typical charts for the journey chart, because, well, this data is not about stock data or something. Yes, so I just gave it some personal touch and I converted the dots into the musical notation, but it's a very tiny thing. Then, so positive and negative, I changed wording into moments of strength and moments of doubt. So it feels more human and also much more acceptable. Yes, we all may have these moments of strength and doubt, and they are all good for the journey. They are all somehow constructive. And then, well, yes, and cross-filtering everywhere. So you will see it in the dashboard, and then we are almost in there. So now we're gonna see the strip chart with all voices, the young people's journey with music notation, and we will hear these voices behind the score. Well, and just yeah, one more decision, maybe it's about the coloring. Yes, always this moment, more positive, more moments of strength will be marked in green, and doubt in violet. But that's pretty it. Okay, so let me change what I'm sharing to now to the dashboard. Just 1 second. Okay, we are here. Is it visible, the dashboard?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, amazing. So thank you very much. Well, so maybe some of you know me already. So I'm quite a fan of minimalistic approach. And that's pretty it. So we have the main data in here. So how many sessions, how many young people, the age and sectors. But I decided deliberately, well, intentionally, not to speak about the gender, not to provide anything, because I don't find that this would be really relevant. And well, we don't have that much data. So yes, the scores which I wanted that much to avoid are only represented as a super average of everything, all the sessions, yes, and they are in here, well, and with some explanation, yeah, about each competence, well, each basic psychological need, yeah, in case the stakeholders are not sure what is it, it's already in there. Yeah, we have also like what was the maximum, yes, because for session rating, for example, the maximum was 10 and not 9, for example, for the previous 3. And then so the main graph for me in here is this strip chart. So right now it's not filtered, so we can hear all the voices, yes, about well, as you can see, it's about autonomy, competence, relatedness, and overall. So each dot represents one session on this VPN, right? So if we have just positive, well, just moment of strength, it will be in here. If there would be both, so well, they are in green, as I already mentioned, so that would be moment of strength, and in violet, the moment of doubt. Yes, and we see the citations right in there. So we can see also the distribution, yes, on, for example, we can notice that overall was quite high for a lot of sessions. Yes, and in relatedness, we have some dots which would represent very low scores. However, sometimes if we are checking the text itself, the voice, it's not only really that negative, let's say. Depends. So that's why also I think it's very, very important to pair the score with the voice, so we can see that really the lowest score does not represent something, the most negative comment. It can be really a moment of doubt, of fragility. And so then, well, the only here there is one more decision when the dots are overlapping. So we would see the upper layer in green. So then the strengths go first. But everything is represented. And then you can click and immediately it would cross filter by the participant who we clicked on, and we can see more sessions of this participant. And here, so on the right, we will see the extracts, the quotations of this participant. Then if we go to all, that would be some overall information, some, well, one of the most impactful maybe, quotes. And here also we can go by specific need, yes. In here, again, we are transparent, we are presenting all of them, like for strength and depth, same for competence and relatedness. But However, if we would like to see the strengths itself, it will be here. But also we can have here a moment of doubt, and it can be filtered by participant. Yes, so we can hear these voices, and then so let's filter it out. And then so the next graph is about the personal journey. So what I commented before about this music notation. And this is how I see it actually. So there can be some deeps, yes. For example, well, first we can see here the person, the participant who had this many sessions, and we can see, well, some session maybe was low in scoring, and actually not everything was scored, yes. And we can read what happened, and there were no quote at all. And then so then it goes up, and yeah, learning goes both ways. It's good, and so on. So we can see all these ups and downs, and we can see it really as a journey and not just the numbers. Yes, and so again, here we can observe for with participant for each session what was the comments for each of needs. Yes, and they are colored as green for autonomy, violet for competence, and white for relatedness. And both are represented if they were there. So again, in green we see the moment of strength, and in violet the depth, and they also have like small images, yeah, diamond and triangle. So we can walk through this personal journey, then we can see somebody else's journey. Yes, they are all different and individual, and it's like in the music, low notes are important as much as high notes, right? So and in there, just a small thing. Also, we have this overall rating if we need it, yes, and with the citations, with the quotations for this if they were provided. Again, so yeah, we can hear these voices, and then I would like to go back and show you the last slide if we have some minutes. Just so this we saw already, and so just a couple of things what working with this data taught me. So well, that every decision matters, yes, and especially if we are speaking about young people, and they are vulnerable. So as already actually it came out, right, in the discussion, it's very important how we label every how we name this positive, negative, how we can change it, how we can make stakeholders to feel it more human. So every decision matters and it impacts. Then another thing is that the most powerful visualization is not the most complex one. And for me personally, well, these two were they're really insightful, and I felt that this is what I wanted to show. I wanted these voices to be heard. And then so about the AI tools, it's really great, and they are excellent brainstorming partners, and the visualization goes to another level, really. And it was super helpful, but of course human verification and human decisions are important. As they said, you need to know what you do, right? So and yes, and now as never before, human decisions are of high importance. And then so the last one, but maybe the most important, is the actual voices create impact in especially in this case, much more for me than numbers, and every dot reveal the story behind, the emotion behind, and this is what I intended to show. And that's it. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for inviting me today. Really happy to be here.
Thanks, Elena. Yeah, we can tell, we can feel young people through the story. They're not numbers, they're really young people. I think that's really amazing. I think that's what I feel. And I really like the fact that you set the scene first before diving into the dashboard. You took us to that on that journey. So we were going with you in that journey, which I think was amazing. Questions or Damien?
Yeah. So we're kind of looping back again, right, to something that's I could put out publicly facing tomorrow, right? It's what I liked about this one was the simplicity, was the ability to tell a story at a glance, but also putting the voices front and center again, right? Like what I like about the work that Noise Solutions doing with the Transceive engine is we're not telling people stories for them, right? What we're doing is taking people's stories and showcasing them. And these are stories that they've created, right? These are stories that they've this is kind of real voice, real life, and we're putting those front and center rather than this inspiration porn nonsense where we take a bloody sepia video of someone and it all goes into color when Noise Solution in the world's a better place. Like sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And you're right, there's these moments of doubt that bring those moments of success to life and show a kind of true journey. So I really liked the way that even I could understand what the strip chart was telling me, but the strip chart then brought those voices out, right? We could see across the whole piece. That's the voice that's brought that number to life. And then the ability to see the young person's individual journey along the bottom really simply again is a really kind of really nice visualization. So I really liked the simplicity, again, the thought and the care about the ethics, right? We feel that too. We hold a really heavy ethical weight when we're telling people's stories, and we need to be very considerate about how we tell those. And it came out beautifully in your dashboard. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the feedback. It's great to hear. Thank you.
As Aman said, very different styles, different dashboard, different storytellers. That I think it's amazing. Lost for words. I think back to my question before, Damien, unless Fenza have a question, but I'm really keen to understand what you've learned from the whole process, knowing that you've done Visual Script before, which was different again. Data, viz, but what did you learn?
Yeah, so for those that weren't involved before, we did a project 2 years ago taking some very well-defined, validated scale data and visualizing those data. So it was from a data set perspective, it was very straightforward. And we were interested to find ways to tell the story of those data. And it was a great project. With this project, it was very different. We've kind of fallen over this whole Transceive thing over the last 5 years. We've been building to this for 5 years, and then we finally got it working. And all of a sudden, we're collecting quite a lot of data, and we don't actually know what to do with it. So we were looking to this project to say, what do we do with this data, right? How do we A, validate it and make sure that it's doing what we think it's doing? And Steph's done a great job of putting some of those foundations in place. And then B, how do we use those data to tell the story publicly? And Noise Solution has always tried to demonstrate to the rest of the sector the art of the possible. So we're trying to go out to the rest of the sector and say, this is how we're measuring impact. This is what it's telling us. This is what it's doing for us. Like, come with us on this journey. So we've learned like what to do with what's starting to become a really significant data set. So that's been incredibly useful. What we're planning to do next is take the work that was done in the first project 2 years ago, take elements of the work that everybody here has done, combine those two things, and then, as Frederick said, extract them live from Salesforce, push them to our website as a kind of test for us, really. We're holding ourselves to account. We're saying, here's our live impact data. You don't believe us, there's the data. there's what the data is telling you. You can go and interrogate it live. So that's the kind of end goal, and that's what we're going to start doing from this point onwards. But I mean, as usual, we provide people like yourselves with CSV dumps of data from a system that's just a load of words and numbers, and then you work your magic and turn it into incredible work that takes an awful lot of complexity and tells it to the viewer in a story that they can understand on first glance. I'm forever awed and astonished by the work that people like you do, right? It's not my bag at all. So to see it come from those CSV dumps to dashboards that look like that is just incredible.
We'll keep that code, Damien, I think.
I'll even write it down for you and email it to you if you like. But yeah, it's astonishing.
But when
getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning or something, Jessica, is so thank you for that.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I mean,
thank you, Damien, for sharing, being part of us, supporting our journey with Data Changemakers. It's just been a first year, but yeah, thank you both to you and Simon for your support always. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. We connect offline, Damien, if you want, when someone is back from his trip with kids. And maybe we can talk about the next step. What can we do to help as well?
Yeah, no, we'll definitely do that. I'll connect back with Si and then we'll hook up again and see what we can do with it.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. Thanks again. Yeah, when you sent me the data first time a few months ago, I said, oh shit, what can we do with that stuff? It's only Excel with zeros and ones and then a few words. Yeah. And so we took a bit of a risk and gamble because it was different than the normal database project. Yeah. But when you see the output, it's really amazing.
Well, it turns out what we do with those data is give it to really clever people and they do amazing things with it. That's what we do.
Yeah, and the fact that the human aspect just came across with those presentations is really heartwarming, I think.
Yeah.
So well done again for those three. Jessica, you're still awake, but we had 25 others, I think 26 total. Some amazing ones. I think you had a few maybes as well in your list. Damien, Harris, I think Longskia, Alex. I think they're amazing presentations as well. So go on the dashboard I've shared and you can have a look at them. But we'll be in touch for sure. And Damien, we can connect offline.
Yeah, awesome. Let's do that. And if anybody wants to stay involved with the work that we're doing, then you can email me or Frederick will introduce us or whatever. We'd really like to stay connected.
Nice. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Have a good night.
Cheers.
For Jessica. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.